I'm with Julia Fisher from the Olive Tree Reconciliation Fund. Now, Julia, what is the Olive Tree Reconciliation Fund?
It's a charity, Paul. It's a charity that we started last year. And the aim of the charity is to raise interest and support for Jewish and Arab believers living in Israel and the Palestinian areas in a spirit of reconciliation. There are many people becoming believers, both from a Jewish background and a Palestinian background. And we tell their stories. We talk about their situation, and the reason being that we need to draw alongside these people and understand that actually what we're seeing unfolding is God's plan for this area. And these are the people that are being called, that are becoming the real believers in the land today. And the numbers are growing, but it's not easy for them, as you well know. It's not easy for any of them. And so we just try to tell their stories, to bring those stories to the nations so that people pray, that they understand, that they don't take sides, and understand that what is really going on is God is building his church. And it's a church that's going to be a church of Jew and Gentile. And when we understand that, we understand that the timing of this is so precious and so strategic. And we're just really trying to play our little part in encouraging them and seeing reconciliation coming about.
Is it difficult bringing reconciliation to two groups that have been so dramatically opposed to each other?
Well, that's what the stories are revealing, but they're also revealing that even though the political situation is so difficult, these stories are transcending the politics of the region. And when people understand that when they become a Christian, they come to the foot of the cross, and all these stories are saying the same message, that just as we read in Ephesians about the cross, in Ephesians 2, we read how when people come to the foot of the cross and they understand that it is through the blood of Jesus that they are forgiven, how can they then hold unforgiveness in their heart? And the challenge on all of us, and the challenge on Arab Christians and Jewish believers, is to put that enmity behind them. And just as Paul said, that the dividing wall of hostility is broken down, these stories that we're telling are proving that that is the case. And there's a desire, a real grassroots desire, to come together and to be reconciled. And it's happening.
How do you separate the politicalness of reconciliation? Because you have Arabs who are pro-Palestinian, you have Israelis who are pro-Israel, and of course, a bomb can go off in Jerusalem on the Israeli side, or Israel can go into Gaza, and many people are killed that way. How do you really separate it and keep the peace, even when you see your own people hurting?
My job, Paul, is a storyteller. I'm there to gather the stories, and I can tell you person after person who has every reason to hate the other side, but they don't. And for example, there's an Arab pastor in Jerusalem, and he was in an Israeli prison as a young man for stone throwing at Israeli soldiers. And he had a hard time in that prison. He was humiliated, and the feeling of injustice went very deep into him. But it's also in that prison that he read the New Testament, and he became a Christian. And he said, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to live with this hatred in my heart. I don't want to live fearing for my life. I don't want to take drugs for the rest of my life. He was a drug addict by that time. I want to live, I'm basically a peace-loving person, and I want to find a solution to this. And so he did become a Christian, and he brought all his life, all his old life, to the foot of the cross, as we've just been describing. And now he is a pastor in the old city who regularly meets with a number of Messianic Jewish pastors, and they are cooperating on projects together, practical issues to do with drug addiction, alcohol addiction. They're working together on this. And even earlier this year, there was a meeting in the Garden Tomb in Jerusalem, And at that meeting, it was just after Easter, around about Pentecost time, 500 Arab and Jewish believers joined together there, and he was one of the main instigators of that. He realizes that that's where the hope is.
What do the non-religious community think about all this, about Arabs and Jews coming together?
I'm not sure that many people know about it, Paul, yet, really. It's a small movement in a sense, and it's an emerging movement. And but I think, the power of the story, when they do hear the stories, I have heard little hints that when they do hear the stories, they're amazed that such things can happen. And I guess that is the power of testimony. It's, you can disagree with a preacher, but a testimony, you get drawn into that story, and you're left thinking, my goodness, can that really, really happen?
Do you think there's a big focus now on reconciliation in Israel and the Palestinian territories? More and more people are jumping on to bringing Palestinians and Israelis together?
I think that what I'm hearing from the people involved in this area is that they realize this is the only lasting solution. That Israelis and Palestinians both want peace. They want it desperately. And this is the way of peace. This is the future. And, we know our Bibles. We know the end of the story, that Israel's destiny is to be a light to the nations. And we know that at the moment it's a nation in spiritual darkness. There's so much darkness there all around. And there's a spiritual battle going on over that area. But we are seeing every year more and more people becoming believers, becoming Christians. And we have to understand in the nations in the West that this is something that we cannot ignore. This is something God is doing. It's a sovereign work of God. And why don't we join in and help them?
Now, you are from the West, you live in England. Do the churches in the West actually care about the Israel-Palestinian conflict?
That's a very interesting question, Paul. A lot of Christians in England take sides. They're either pro-Palestinian or they're very, very sort of Zionist, and which I think is very sad, because God's heart, he carries both peoples in his heart. He doesn't prefer one to the other. He loves them both the same. And it's very clear from the scriptures that Jesus is coming back for his church, which is going to be a church of Jew and Gentile. That's his bride. And why don't we encourage this reconciliation? Why take sides? The believers here urge us not to take sides. They urge us to support both peoples. So let's stop taking sides. It's not helping.
So we can actually be pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian at the same time?
We have to be. We have to be.
Now, is life hard for both sides in Israel?
Yes, that's what I'm hearing. There is a tremendous amount of need, and the number of people, for example, living under the poverty line is very high. There's also a lovely group of people that I've heard about just in recent months, the Ethiopian Messianic community. And the Ethiopian Jews, of course, were called the Falashas when they lived in Ethiopia, and that's quite a derogatory term. It means a people set apart, a different people. And of course, their history goes back a long way. We can read all about them in the Old Testament. But these people, they retained their Judaism, their orthodoxy for all these centuries. But now, living in Israel, some of these Ethiopians have become believers in Jesus, the Messianic Ethiopian community. But Paul, there is such need in that community. It's obvious that coming from Africa, they are considered the bottom of the heap in Israel. So they're farming people as well. They're not used to living in a European-style country. So for the older people, it's been a very, very difficult transition. For the younger people, it's a little bit easier. But here's a needy group of people. But, you speak to the pastors here, the Ethiopian pastors, and they say, we've got very little materially, but we've got faith. You won't find many sick people in our congregations. We trust God. But, it's been such a joy to share their stories. And it's really prompted a very generous, a huge generosity from supporters of the Olive Tree Fund. They've really given into this community and made all the difference, because they're running programs for their young people. They're helping them with their schoolwork. They're helping them pay their electricity bills, with medical bills. You know how expensive it is living in Israel. And which is an absolute joy. And then on the Arab side, it's, if you've been a Muslim and you become a Christian, is life hard for you? you lose your work, you lose your family. What future is there for you? But God has a destiny for these people, and sometimes it's to be an evangelist to their own people. So they need special understanding and prayer support and support in any way that we can give to them. So however little we can help, we want to help.
So you see that there is a hope for the Palestinians and Israelis and the whole conflict that they struggle with at the moment.
Paul, I've been visiting Israel 4-5 times a year for the past 12 years nearly. Now, 12 years ago, there weren't many believers in the land at all. In those 12 years, the number of Jewish believers has grown to between 10 and 15,000. Now, that doesn't sound a lot to us in the West, but actually in Israel, that is a lot. Equally, on the Palestinian side, I know a lot of Orthodox Christian Palestinians have left and gone to other countries, but you have a remnant of evangelical Christians in places like Bethlehem and in Jerusalem, and they are becoming bolder and bolder. And what I'm hearing from their pastors is our numbers are growing. As we reach out to our own people with the good news of the gospel, as we support them, as we build a community, a fellowship together, so people are being drawn. And then as they are coming together with the Jewish believers too, they are understanding the strategy, God's heart for Israel and the PA. And they're coming to understand that they're part of something bigger than themselves. And they're coming to understand the prophetic side of all this, the time in which we live, that this isn't just about a remnant of people in a country called Israel. This is actually about God's plan, God's purpose, God's plan of salvation for the nations. And he's using this part of the world still, in just the same way that we know he's coming back to the Mount of Olives in the same way that he left. We know that it's strategic, and he will fulfill everything that he's promised.
Now, you have a website and you have resources on your website. What sort of things do you have there, and what's the website address?
The website address is www.olivetreefund.org, and on that site you will see stories, articles about some of the people I've been talking about, and that will just give you a flavour of the sort of thing that's going on. And if you want to get involved and would like more information, then yes, we have a newsletter. Just get in touch.
Okay, Julia, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Paul.